At the executive meeting. You're done by Friday, leave the room. That's what Dana Whitlock, our so-called vice president of transformation, said in front of the entire leadership team, smiling as she torched 7 years of my work. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just stood up, picked up the binder she once mocked as old-school clutter, and walked out with it. 7 days later, I was sipping jasmine tea in my kitchen as our company's legal counsel, frantic and flushed, announced to the board that we were being fined $100,000 a day for missing audit documentation. The lead auditor didn't blink. She just said, "The fine stops when she returns." Let's rewind. My name's Callie Rhodes. I was the director of compliance at Preston Vale Technologies in Palo Alto, California. 7 years. Survived 2 mergers, 4 CEOs, and a ransomware attack that almost triggered SEC scrutiny. Through it all, I was the quiet one in the corner, labeled, tabbed, and prepped. Then Dana strutted in. High heels like bayonets. Corporate smile like a fox at a chicken convention. She arrived from some downtown San Francisco tech unicorn that imploded after a product recall, but her LinkedIn didn't mention that. She hated paper. Called my audit trail a tree graveyard. Said we needed to move fast and simplify. I warned her, internal control is not an accessory, it's armor, but Dana didn't care. She didn't want control. She wanted applause. So when I flagged a vendor audit risk, real risk, I'm talking expired SOC 2 certs, backdoor vulnerabilities, flagged access logs, she brushed it off like lint from her blouse. We'll move it to Q4, she said. Let's not freak the board. Translation, hide it now, pray later. When I pushed back with receipts, mind you, highlighted clauses, vendor timelines, legal obligations, she laughed. You're stuck in compliance theater, Callie, she said. Let it go. But I didn't let it go. I documented every shortcut, every overridden policy. Every time she pressured someone to check a box instead of fix a gap, I printed it all, kept it out of the system, in binders. Real binders, the kind you can't remotely delete. By month's end, I saw the signs, random IT lockouts. Check-ins with HR, concerns about your rigidity. Cute. Then came the Friday meeting. Conference room 3B. Dana, legal, HR, all waiting like actors in a staged execution. This is a strategic restructure, Dana said, as if we were discussing layout changes. Your role has been sunsetted. We wish you the best. I stood, collected my things, and took my binder. The one with everything. First major twist done. If you've ever been backstabbed by a clueless boss and lived to see karma hit back, you're gonna love what's coming. Tap that like and hit subscribe. This revenge isn't even warm yet. I didn't cry when I got home. I didn't scream. I poured a glass of wine and laid that binder across my kitchen table like a war general reviewing enemy terrain. Each tab was a loaded weapon. Page 92, the vendor clear audit Dana told us to delay for optics. Page 127, the internal login anomaly she verbally overrode and never remediated. Page 144, her email saying, "We can always create the trail later if legal asks." They thought firing me would make it all disappear. But I wasn't just keeping records. I was the system. That Monday, the audit team from Kessler and Yates rolled in like storm clouds. Bethany Goss, the lead auditor, had the posture of a Marine and the voice of a sentencing judge. Let's start with Q2's control reconciliations, she said, pen ready. Derek, Dana's fresh-faced puppet and new compliance lead, froze. Should be in the drive, he stammered. Click, click, nothing. Let me try the archive. Buffering. Access denied. Bait didn't blink. Per your master services agreement, missing documentation activates Clause 8C, that's $100,000 per day. Silence. The next day, legal went full panic mode. Trent Vickers, our in-house counsel, started whispering in corners like a man trying to put out a wildfire with a squirt gun. By Wednesday, Dana blamed recent turnover and versioning issues. Bates' reply. Turnover doesn't delete signed logs. Then I got the text from Jess in HR. They think you took it. Dana called you a compliance librarian psycho. It's chaos in here. They weren't wrong about who had it, but they were dead wrong why. I hadn't taken it out of spite. I took it because I knew what would happen without me. I knew they'd try to reconstruct things they never understood. You don't just rebuild audit logic from memory. You trace it, prove it, live it. By Thursday, vendors began pulling out. Friday morning, a message from Jess. Bait just dropped the hammer. Daily fines now official. CFO looks like he aged 5 years in an hour. Dana tried to smooth it over in an emergency board call. We can simulate the logs, she said. We'll just recreate what's missing. Bait didn't even look up. You want to backdate official compliance records? Dana panicked. No, just fill the gaps, strategically. Bait smiled faintly. Attempted reconstruction without transparency becomes reportable. That includes clients with federal contracts. That was the moment the room froze. The board didn't ask where the data was. They should have asked who was the data, because by then I wasn't just Callie from compliance. I was the only one who could stop the bleeding. By Monday morning, the company was leaking credibility like a shot-up lifeboat. Emails rolled in like distress signals. Ria from procurement. They're looking for you. Jess from HR. Dana tried to blame you to the board, didn't land. She's drowning. Derek from compliance. Hey, is the reconciliation matrix, like, gone? I didn't answer. I stirred honey into my tea and flipped to page 214 of the binder. Q1, vendor clear 2FA override. Dana had personally told me to archive the evidence quietly instead of reporting it. No need to freak out legal, she'd said, fluttering her lashes like we were gossiping over lattes. I had the email. I had all of them. That afternoon, the law firm's paralegal left a voicemail. Hi, Callie. Just wondering if you're in possession of any original documentation. We'd really appreciate your cooperation. Cooperation. That's what they call it when the walls are caving in, and they remember the person they buried was holding up the ceiling. By 4:00 p.m., Dana was on another emergency board call. Her voice was so syrupy it could have stuck to a wall. We're confident we'll reconstruct the compliance trail within the week, she said. Bait, ever the hawk, stared her down. VP Whitlock, submitting fabricated control documentation violates Clause 11D. That's reportable fraud. Dana blinked like she'd just been slapped. Even Trent looked like he wanted to disappear into his tie. Then came a voicemail from him. Callie, look, I know things were tense. But if you could just walk us through recovery, I'm sure we could compensate. Maybe even reinstate. Reinstate. They'd never offered that when I was spending weekends stitching their control gaps together with duct tape and caffeine. I didn't reply. Instead, I poured another glass of wine and opened a new tab, Job Boards. Not because I needed one, because I could. And because I wanted them to feel what I felt, that slow, creeping dread of watching something you built get torn apart by amateurs in expensive shoes. Tuesday morning. The walls of Preston Vale didn't just shake, they cracked. Bait entered the war room at 10:04 a.m. sharp with a manila envelope and a packet tabbed in red. Red. If you've ever survived a forensic audit, you know what that color means. She laid the packet in front of the CFO, Eric Maynard, and said calmly, Per Clause 8C of your Master Services Agreement, your firm is in material breach. Daily noncompliance penalties will accrue at $100,000 per calendar day, retroactive to the audit delay. Eric looked like his organs just failed in sequence. Jess texted me. Bait just dropped a nuke. Trent spilled coffee. Dana's face, blank like a reboot screen. Dana tried to claw her way out of it. We're actively recovering the documents, she stammered in Friday's meeting. Derek's team has reconstructed 90% of the logs. No, we haven't, Derek cut in. Pale, sleep-deprived, his voice cracking like broken glass. We estimated 90%. We haven't reconciled anything. Gasps. Heads turning. Then Sophia, the intern, quiet, overlooked Sophia, whispered, We can't. Callie never shared the index formula. Only she knew how the exception chains worked. The room froze. CFO Eric whispered, Are you saying there's no backup? Sophia just shook her head. It wasn't about the files, she said. It was the logic. She was the logic. Bait closed her audit folder with a snap. She didn't just leave, she said, standing. She took the thread. Now the whole damn sweater's unraveling. She handed the board a slim envelope. Failure to retain control logic used to interpret internal data is a breach under Clause 11A. The fine continues. At 11:12 a.m., Jess called me. Callie, they want to talk. Seriously. They're asking what it would take to get you back. I sipped my coffee, calm as a glacier, and asked one question. Did they mention Dana? A pause. Then, they said her role is under review. Of course it was. I didn't say yes. I said, tell legal to send me their offer. I'll look it over. This wasn't a favor, it was a reckoning. They built their entire structure on a foundation they didn't understand, because the architect never demanded credit. Now they were offering me the keys to the kingdom, and I was about to set my terms in stone. Monday, 9 o'clock am. I didn't stroll in with vengeance. I walked in like gravity, quiet, steady, unavoidable. The boardroom was full. No breakfast spread, no smiles, just desperation and bad coffee. In my left hand, a pristine manila folder, excerpts from the binder. In my right, an envelope with crisp navy ink and my lawyer's watermark. Inside were my terms. I didn't sit at the end like a guest. I walked to the center and placed the envelope on the table. These are my conditions. No small talk, no apologies, the terms, full reinstatement with back pay, sole ownership of compliance, methods, records, logic, direct reporting to the board. Dana Whitlock terminated within 7 days, no reassignment, no exit fanfare. Gone, the room was silent, Bate nodded. It meets all regulatory expectations. If Miss Rhodes returns under these terms, we'll suspend the daily fine effective tomorrow. The chairman, silver-haired, stone-faced, said one word. Accepted. Dana stood like she might object. Bate didn't even look up. This is Miss Rhodes' meeting now. Dana sat like her strings had been cut. I turned to her finally. You deleted the system I warned you about. I preserved it. Her voice cracked. This is a takeover. Bate rose slowly. If you speak again, I'll log you for obstruction. Start prepping your exit. Dana looked around. No one would meet her eyes, no allies, just the echo of her downfall. 3 days later, I returned. Same building, new office, new title. Compliance director, no VP above me, no dotted lines, just authority. Inside the office was a box, my binder, untouched, respected now. That afternoon, Bate stopped by with a smirk and an audit packet. Clean kill, she said. Trent peeked in later, sweating bullets. We're good now, right? I opened my binder. This is just version 1. I've started digitizing schema, cloud independent, redundant backups, encrypted metadata. He blinked. You're rebuilding? No, I smiled. I'm fortifying. That evening, I saw Dana one last time. No heels, no shoulder pads, just a sagging sweater and a box of failed ambition. She passed my office. I stepped into the hallway. I didn't raise my voice. Next time, don't touch what you don't understand. She didn't answer. Just walked on heels silent, future erased. Back in my office, I opened the binder, now my legacy, and began transcribing every control, every clause, every overlooked truth. Not for them, for me, because policy isn't paperwork, it's power, and now I own it.